And we're back with Veron. So, dude, we talked about this earlier. The OnlyFans day and age of women. We discussed at length our opinions on the OnlyFans thing.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this many times before, but I'm going to say it again. For these women who do the OnlyFans, get your bag. Look, do what you got to do. But to sit here and act like there ain't going to be no consequences to it,
it's utterly stupid.
And here's where my problem comes with that. Can you imagine, girls are ruthless with bullying other girls.
Yeah.
Can you imagine whenever these kids of the girls doing OnlyFans get older and they have all this technology at their disposal?
Mm-hmm.
If you were married to a woman who had OnlyFans,
that would never happen in any history, in any universe ever.
Hypothetically, can you imagine if you were in high school or middle school and your mom did OnlyFans?
No.
And which the technology is going to be at the disposal of these kids in the future generation. Can you imagine your life if somebody in that school found your mom's OnlyFans account or her, which OnlyFans is amateur porn.
Essentially.
If you are an OnlyFans model that's posting nudes, masturbation, or sex tapes, you're an amateur porn star.
Yeah.
You see porn stars now having kids, and they're fearful of how their kids are going to be treated. Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, every decision anybody makes ever ultimately has consequences.
But now we're talking about the sex industry. And now they're trying to normalize.
Oh, it's
that.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
and look,
especially with this feminism movement.
This feminist movement has hurt women more than anything.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is
tainted their minds.
Oh yeah, well,
not all women, obviously, but those who follow that.
Yeah, and here's my thing. Can you imagine being that kid whose mom's nudes are going around your school? That's horrible. That kid's life is gonna be
very tough.
Very, very tough.
Yeah.
Because girls are ruthless when it comes down to bullying. But guys are more ruthless when it comes down to the women in your life.
Ruthless, I think, in a good way, though. Meaning, like, more picky. Or picky's not the right word. And stop me if I'm not on the right track. But from when you mean ruthless, like, there are standards.
No, I'm talking about guys. I'm talking about the kid. The kid, whenever he's in school,
like high school, middle school stuff.
Yeah. If the guy, if any of his friends find his mom's nudes,
you're getting bullied,
dude. You're never going to hear the end of it.
You're gonna have to develop some really tough skin and get with the Lord on that one. As a kid, I mean, but then again, it's like there's so many these societal and cultural and even like mental and spiritual aspects that will affect the kids ultimately.
Like, because dude, I mean, hypothetically speaking, if I was that kid and I saw any of like my moms or my sisters,
that's not if they
did anything like that, and it came back to surface, I would not want to be associated with them.
Well, absolutely not. Yeah, I mean,
I'd be embarrassed.
For sure. And that's the thing. I don't think, these women. I mean, it's way more common with women, but there's dudes that does this shit too. Way smaller percentage, not as widely known and spread, but definitely on the, the females who do this. To get a bag, chase a bag,
yeah. And how long do you think that's gonna last? It's not gonna last long, ladies, because the next day you're gonna have the next hottest model that comes up.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with all this is that with the OnlyFans thing, with the porn star thing, the normalization of it. Look, Riley Reid, we all know who Riley Reid is. Let's be mature about this. We all know who Riley Reid is. She had a little video she posted about how her family has disowned her. Like her dad has disowned her.
Which is sad.
It's sad, but I don't blame the dad.
Like, I can't sit here and play the blame game. I could see why they would do that, but hopefully I won't ever be in this situation, right? Like,
if I had a daughter and she did that, I would disown her too.
But that would never happen. You know, there are things growing up in a household. That's why, what I think the feminist movement tied in with the feminism. The feminist movement. It's really this devised attack too on the nuclear family, like this women empowerment, and they don't want man and woman to be united in a household, to have a nuclear family, to raise kids and build a high quality life together over the span of decades. And you have kids and you teach them your values, they see your example, and that's essentially that's the attack. And it's very manipulative in the aspect of let me speak into Mike more. But it's not, it's guised as this empowerment movement, right? Get OnlyFans. If you get X amount of followers, you can get $300,000 a month.
Yeah.
But it almost goes back to, like, where do your values lie and your morals? Like, what are you willing to sacrifice for that?
And it's Pride Month, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Thank you, Adam Calhoun, for the shirt, Make America Straight Again. You know that 77% of white women who identify as liberal also identify as bisexual?
I did not know that.
But here's the kicker. They identify as bisexual without ever having any intimacy with another woman or the intent to do so. And more women that we see nowadays, you see, have you noticed nowadays that so many women, a bigger percentage of women are starting to like become more bisexual and lesbian and things of that nature? And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it. I'll never use a religious standpoint because not everybody believes in the same religion I do. Yeah. But a lot of these people believe in science, right? So let's go a scientific route.
What people?
The people part of the LGBTQ movement.
Yeah, but they've totally perverted biology.
Yeah. So here's what I'm saying. They said,
a man's not a man.
So if you put 100 lesbian women on an island and 10 straight women on an island, the same island, 10 years you'll have none but skeletons.
Irrefutable fact.
If you put 100 transgender women on an island and 10 straight guys on an island, 10 years you have nothing but skeletons.
Correct.
You put 100 straight women on an island and 10 straight guys on an island, 10 years you'll have generations in a functional society. So I don't give a fuck if you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, purple, green, yellow. I don't give a fuck. It's your God-given right as an American citizen to live your life the way you want to do it. It's your right as an American citizen to live your life the way you want to do it. As long as the person that you're with is of age and you have their consent. Sure. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's fucking normal.
No, it's not natural.
One of my best friends who's a lesbian said, Scott, because one of my friends said, Scott, you going to the Pride Parade? I said, why the fuck would I go to a Pride Parade?
Who the fuck is that guy?
What the fuck kind of question is that? You're asking me of all people. You gonna ask me that?
And she knew you well?
Yeah.
She probably was pulling your leg.
And I said, why the fuck would I go to that? She goes, to show you're an ally. I said, I'm not an ally of the LGBTQ movement. I'm not. Look, I've stated many times, if I've ever been associated with a woman who has had sex with another woman, one-on-one sex, the relationship wouldn't last because I question your sexuality, and I don't want to be dating a bisexual woman. I don't want that.
What if they came to that realization of the real manipulation behind that whole movement, and totally that's not a part of them anymore?
What do you mean? So
like they're not bisexual. They turned away from that life. They don't identify with that culture, with that mode of being of identifying as LGBTQ, or they don't even have the pursuit of being bisexual anymore. And she wants to, get married with a man and have families. Like, would that be a no-go?
If she's been with multiple women in bed?
What if she's just been with one woman and
it wasn't like it was just a one-on-one girl experience?
And she turned away from it, like for real, and saw it and speaks out against it and tells it for what it is after personal experience.
If she's been with one woman,
and turned away from it though afterwards, and like you knew this girl and you got to know her really well, and she was vulnerable with you, like we were talking about earlier in the podcast, and tells it for what it is and doesn't abide by that life anymore, but she wants to have a family. If it was
one time thing.
But why would multiple times?
Because at that point you got to call into question, is she actually straight?
Well, for sure, but like I'm saying, we all build relationships with people, and for me, I know that God's blessed me with a gift of discernment with people. I used to be very manipulative, stealing, lying, dark psychology with people, and I felt every single repercussion from that, and I don't abide by that anymore, in terms of, just because I know, number one, it's not the right thing to do. It's not loving others like you should love yourself, wanting the best and manipulating for my good. I've felt every single repercussion from it, but I've turned away from that. So now I have this gift, me personally, I'm not saying everybody does, but to know when a person is being authentic and genuine and vulnerable enough. Okay, yeah, I did this. Whether it was one time or 5 times.
Well, but you comparing once to 5 though.
Yeah, but hear me out. Hear my logic. That's when you connect with people and you build relationships with them, there's a trust established, and it's not this naive trust to think and operate as if, oh, this person can't betray me or lie to me. We all can do that. Me, you, everybody. But it's not trust or don't trust, how I look at it. And Jordan Peterson, in his book Beyond Order, when I read it, he had a chapter in there called Don't Hide Unwanted Things in the Fog.
And a little bit more.
And
your chair.
Oh, and he said the lack of the courage to trust. It should never be trust or don't trust. Because if you're trusting everybody, thinking everybody doesn't have this capacity to betray and deceive and bite, we all do. Because if you've lived at all, you've been betrayed or you've been the betrayer. For me, I've been both in my life, in my past. And so it's not about universally trusting everybody, but it's instead of that naive trust to think everybody doesn't have the capacity to do it, and then boom, you get bit and betrayed, and then you're like, then your whole reality is, in a sense, is shattered with that person because you didn't think they had the capacity to bite and betray you and deceive you. And I could think about that in instances like you see a 10, a chick, she's 10 physically, she got a beautiful body, beautiful face, symmetrical, she got an ass. Because that's my thing. I like a little jump. I'm
an ass man.
Not big. I like athletic, toned. You know what I mean? I don't like them fillers. Nothing fake. But you look at her like a 10, and there's no way she could bite me or betray me. You get blinded by that in a sense. And let's say she does betray you, bite you in whatever way, shape, or form. if you're naively trusting that person, there's a season inevitably, and it varies in duration per like with each individual, of depression, anxiety, resentment, bitterness against that person, and maybe even against yourself, because you're like, man, what, your whole reality gets shifted. So it's not the naive trust, but it's hard-nosed and optimistic trust. I know you can bite me. I know I have the capacity. We all have the capacity, but I'm going to extend my hand in trust to you, taking substantial risk, knowing that you could do it. But let's say you did bite me, and I had hard-nosed and optimistic trust. It's still coming from a place of love. And let's say you did show me genuine contrition and apology, face to face. Look, I was so wrong for betraying you.
I don't care about that.
Look, Scott, I was totally in the wrong. I betrayed you with X, Y, or Z. And to the root of my being, I want to express my sincere contrition and apology in hopes that you'll forgive me. A lot of people don't want to off the bat forgive people, but the hard-nosed and optimistic person that trust knows that, considering I showed you some that contrition, apology, genuine, damn, I fucked up, and you feel that, I'll extend my hand and trust to you again, still knowing you could bite me and betray me and deceive me and do the same thing, but also knowing that if I don't extend my hand and trust to you, then it eliminates any opportunity for the best part of you who betrayed me to step forward, and perhaps the best part of me for doing that.
Let me ask you, what kind of betrayal are we talking? Because it varies. I have forgiven people for certain kinds of betrayal, but if we're talking about in terms of relationships and cheating, no, you're not forgiven.
Why?
Ever.
I'm just curious why. Picking your brain.
Well, see, I am the nicest guy you ever meet, but I'm the most unforgiving son of a bitch you ever meet too, because I give you, if you are in my circle or you are my friend, I am giving you my undying loyalty.
Yeah.
Whenever you know, if I associate with you, you have my undying loyalty, right, to the end, and I am guaranteeing.
Well, to the end.
I'm guaranteeing.
To the end of what?
Until I'm off this earth.
But what if that loyalty you're exhibiting towards me, and I totally mess up, just because we're all human, and I come to you in contrition and apology?
It depends on what you messed up with.
But why though? Mainly, the reason I ask is because I know the immeasurable weighted chains of bitterness and resentment that if there's no mercy given, forgiveness, ultimately that weighs me down, because I'm freezing you out by my disapproval of your insufficiencies. So over time, bro, it's like short term, it's a luxury to, frick you, I'm not, go ahead with your life, I'm done, I'm cutting you out. But long term, it only is breeding ground for self-betrayal, more resentment that just weighs you down. It doesn't attribute anything to your overall capacity to love.
Well, at that point, if you've betrayed me in such a way, and I'm talking, I mean, like I said, we have to give me a scenario. What's a scenario you can give me?
I'm a girl and I cheated on you.
Oh, then fucking go. You can go live in a cardboard box for all I care for the rest of your life.
Even if I come and told you about it, and
yeah, go live in a cardboard box. Go kick rocks.
And it's a tough thing, or like, and it varies in situations with people, like,
I ain't forgiving that.
But see, over time, bro, that'll limit your capacity to overall trust and love people even in your life that's not like, it's this skepticism that gets planted in your subconscious mind that when certain instances where your ability to trust comes about, you'll have an emotional negative attachment to it, just from something that stemmed back from this person and you not giving forgiveness even when they came to you and just laid it all on the table. Not necessarily saying you have to stay with the person. Some cases you can, some cases you can't, depending on the person, but just the forgiveness aspect, because that holds them down too, and it puts.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about them at that point.
I know, but it ultimately comes back to you as well if you hold on to these chains of. It's literally, it's if there's no mercy given or just forgiveness, considering they show the proper contrition and apology, they won't. It's like there's situations in your life that it's gonna hinder you from opportunities from perhaps might be the best thing that could ever happen to you, or the best relationship, whether it's a friend, whether it's a woman, whether it's family. It'll hinder you because deep down in the root of your heart, the subconscious, there's that still that pain, because it hurts getting betrayed, bro. But like I said, anybody who's lived life knows what it means to be betrayed or be the betrayer. And it's all short-term luxuries that feel good to freeze you out by my disapproval. I'm done with you. Screw you. If your name comes up, I'm going to talk crap about you. But
I won't talk crap about you.
But I'm just saying in the instances, because I used to have a lot of resentment and bitterness towards people that screwed me or bit me in some kind of way.
I don't look at it that same way that you do. So the way I look at it, and there's a very great quote that General Mad Dog Mattis has, and be kind to everybody you meet, but have a plan to kill everybody in the room.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to kill.
Still, you get the concept of it.
But I think it goes back to exactly this. Don't have this naive trust in your kindness. Have hard-nosed and optimistic trust. That way, if somebody does betray you, you're saving yourself in terms of for future opportunities with people.
Oh, but that doesn't, from my experience, that hasn't affected everything, because once you
maybe not. I mean, it's something deep to dive and think about.
But yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying, and what I'm saying is, if you've betrayed me in a big way, you are out. You are completely out of my circle. Don't come to me for anything. I don't wish any ill will upon you. I don't hope anything bad happens to you. I hope you live a long and prosperous life. But I can give 0 fucks about you.
But see, it's not operating. My point is just not operating from a place of love.
Well, I'm not, because I don't love them at that point.
But could you just see how you having that attitude and mode of being, you embodying it, could ultimately, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, how it could eliminate perhaps something good that can come out of it, whether it's y'all go y'all separate ways, but forgiveness is granted, and it eliminates the best part of them to come step forward and perhaps be birthed, and perhaps the best part in you for future things down the road. That's all I'm saying. It's deep psychological concept.
Well, see, I've forgiven somebody who had to make amends with me before, and that was a hard thing to do, and I forgave them. But we're talking along the lines now of your most vulnerable state, which is in a relationship, which is whenever you are the most vulnerable, because you're allowing that person into your heart.
Right.
And when the way I look at it, I've seen it happen too many times to people I care about, and seen the toll that it has taken
on them.
And people forgive that a lot, and they get back with that person. I'm here saying I don't think that person deserves a second chance.
Well, it's also it's on variety of different. There's millions of different scenarios where that's applicable and where it's not.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know.
And look, dude, I'm not robotic to where I don't understand people make mistakes.
Have you ever betrayed?
I've ever betrayed, like cheated on somebody?
Anybody. Betrayed in any way, shape, or form?
Never cheated on anybody. Anytime somebody's told me something in confidence, I have not spilled that out to anybody else. Oh, maybe when I was a little kid, I said something I probably shouldn't have. But if we're applying that, then yeah, everybody's betrayed at some point. But I'm talking in my adult life, no, I'm not betraying people. Loyalty, trustworthiness, and honesty in the people that I surround myself with are the biggest things to me because I give it to you.
Yeah.
And I will always do that.
But you won't if they slip up.
If they slip up, you're out. If you do something to me.
But what if you've ever... Let's think a scenario where you, hypothetically, you betray... You slip up and mess up and you come at it with a sincere heart. How negatively you think would that affect you for your future if that same approach of
not
you're done
them?
But like they wouldn't forgive you. Think about the negative toll that would take on you because you know the pain that it caused and that there's no peace or reconciliation just with that. Doesn't mean we have to stay together. Think about just there's these long-term effects that are embedded in people's soul, which is the mind, their emotion, and their will for the rest of their life. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's these immeasurable weighted chains that affect people in so many different ways because of rejection, because of fear, because of resentment. Like that carry on in tolls of that people's lives. It's a deep concept to think about.
Yeah, it is.
But like you see what I'm saying? Like,
so what you're saying is,
like, imagine if you're in the other shoes.
If I was to come to you and say, Evan, look, I fucked up, and you said, no, I don't forgive you.
Yeah, like, fuck you, go about your way.
I would understand.
You would, but saying that right here, yeah, you'd understand, but like. There will inevitably be tolls on how you orient yourself with people, with relationships. That, like I said, it doesn't even have to be a man and woman relationship. It could be business. It could be this. It could be that. Like it
just teaches you to keep your guard up more.
But hard-nosed and optimistic. Everybody got the capacity, is what I'm saying. But you're not blind to that. So it could protect you from this future negative toll, impactful toll it could take if the betraying happens to you. It'll save you from this season of depression, anxiety, because he that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. That's Proverbs. Think about that.
See, I think this whole forgiveness notion, though, that everybody should be able to be forgiven for something they've done.
Well, we all have these insufficiencies, bro.
I know.
Like you said, we're not robotic. Like,
but
think about it.
What I'm saying is that you're one of my best friends I've ever had. You never did anything to betray me. I've had maybe I can count on one hand situations that have gotten out of hand because of drug use or things of that nature, which that I can forgive, because at that point something is altering your state of mind. That
might be brain injury.
Yeah, well, look, I have
impulses too with people acting crazy.
But, hey, look, I have extreme head trauma, and I ain't betraying nobody.
Well, props to you, but that's a blessing in itself. But like, some people could have a different region of their brain bruised that they can't remotely help. So just like the same thing, you'll exhibit symptoms, and you'll get looked at as crazy. Just stop doing drugs, or just go to sleep, or stop being impulsive. But at the root of it, it's like nothing's what it seems. Like nothing on this aspect of, conversation, like you just never know with people. So where I think, because I know I've been, like I said, the betrayer and betrayed before, and to know that you're forgiven me, that I'm forgiven, and I've had mercy showed upon me, then I can, it's my right. I mean, I need to give people this. If there's any avenues where I can show what's been done for me, for you, in terms of forgiveness and having mercy, because it's been bestowed upon me, that is the most freeing thing, bro. It doesn't carry a measurable weighted chains of weight, metaphysical chains.
So I'll answer you. All right, in terms of friend wise, if you come to me and you apologize for saying something that I didn't tell you, I told you not to talk about.
And, I mean, that's minuscule too, though. But yeah,
and you sincerely apologize, I can forgive you, but I'm never going to trust you again.
Trust in what sort? Naively trust? No.
I'm not going to associate with you. I'm not going to want to be around you. You betrayed my trust once. And I consider, if I tell you something in confidence, and I say it's between us, and you go out and you repeat it, you've broken it. In terms of arguments, fights with friends, people that have been around me for a long time, that slip up, yes, I can forgive you. Now we go diving into relationship type of things. You cheat? No. You will never be forgiven.
I hear you.
Because
I respect your opinion.
That is my most vulnerable as a man. That is when I'm at my most vulnerable, is if I'm in an exclusive relationship with you.
Yeah.
That means I'm giving you my entire heart.
But they're doing the same if they can be vulnerable as well. And
it takes vulnerability to admit that you fucking cheated.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Should have thought of that. Should have thought about that before you did it.
Possibly, but what if and I'm thinking hypothetical scenarios. What if my brain don't allow me to think? I just go off impulse and my feelings of my primal nature. See girl, eat, sleep, drink, have sex. What if my frontal lobe ain't even remotely functionable to access in these moments? But I can come to you knowing you're a person I care about, a person I love, a person I've been vulnerable with, but I'm messed up.
Well, I appreciate you telling me, but that's it.
That's fine, but all I can ask is for your forgiveness.
I can't say that I forgive.
That's fine.
I would appreciate the fact that you told me, but forgiveness on that level is just...
It's not common to man. It's not in our nature.
It's not. And look, that's one of my biggest takes that people have a disagreement with, is that part.
But when you say the human nature at our primal, fleshly, lustful desires, would you say are always lacking to go above and beyond what the norm is with our nature? Like, this type of forgiveness and mercy I'm talking about, it's above that fleshly primal nature of just to operate within the flesh. It's spiritual, and it comes only from God. And we're going to transition into this now, but
because getting into the God thing,
God is real, bro.
See,
evidence is everywhere. Creation itself. There was no Big Bang Theory. That is nothing. And the idea that nothing and nothing created this something right here to have meaningful relationship and conversation and ways to impact people on a positive level. There's no possible way with this just this happen for no reason? Us sitting right here. That's just one baby.
And I'm going to preface this by saying that I am not atheist.
No, I know.
I do believe in God. I do. Me and the big man do have a lot to work on in terms of our relationship with each other.
But that's what it's about.
Because my faith has been tested a lot over the past few years, to where I've even made the statement, how could there be a God? How is there a God if this is happening to me?
Been there.
I said, what the fuck did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
There ain't no I said, there ain't no God. I mean, look, and you say some of those things out of pure just
instantaneous, primal, reactionary, making
don't try to tie that in with you. Try to tie that in with what we just talked about.
But think about it.
You can't tie those two in together, man.
Well, no, you can't make sense of something in the present moment, whether it be circumstantial based, negative circumstances, that you can make sense on the natural plane of it. Why am I going through this?
Well, see, my whole when it comes down to the God thing, look, I told you earlier, I'm not the best practicing Catholic by any means, nor will I ever try to preach.
Yeah.
Because I'd be a hypocrite because I don't go to church every Sunday. Now, I would defend my religion to the end because I do believe in the structure of it, and I do like the structure of the old ways, the old teachings of the Catholic Church. I've always liked that. That's all I am. And it has a lot to play in part with how I believe too, but I'll never use it as a crutch. In terms of, I have a buddy who is a Jehovah's Witness. I have an older sister, one of my sisters who's atheist, another one of my sisters who's believes in God but is more nature-wise, pagan, I believe, in a sense. I don't know if you'd call it pagan, but I sat with two of them, said, in a way, we are all agnostic, and they had a problem with that. And I said, okay, well, is there a God? I said, let me put it to you this way. Is there a God? And they both said yes. I said, prove it. Prove it. And this is just me getting the thing outside the box. I believe there's a God because there's too much to where things can't be explained. Scientists have been trying to do it since the beginning of time to explain how we are here.
Yeah.
That's the question. If we knew the answer to how we got here and why we're here, there'd be no point in living.
Oh, it's all throughout the Bible why we're here.
But still, you know what I mean? Like they've been trying to research how we got here. What caused?
Yeah, it makes sense of it on a natural plane.
Yeah, but at the end of the
from a worldly standpoint.
At the end of the day, we are all agnostic because I can ask anybody I can go to a priest and say, "Is there a God?" He'll say yes, and I'll say, "Prove it." He can't prove it.
You should ask God to prove it. Have you ever done that, like verbally out loud?
No.
Try it and watch out. Buckle up. That's all I'll say.
Ask God to prove that he's real.
Seriously. God meets us all, bro. Like, it's so beyond, far from religion. That's a worldly construct. Every religion is man-made.
But we don't know which one's right.
None of them are right. Because it's not about a religion. It's not about adhering to an institution created by man to abide by this institution and do all these rules and follow these things to be at good standings with God.
Well, Christianity in itself is a religion.
It can be classified depending on your knowledge of it and what you categorize it as.
It's a religion, though.
It's really not. Jesus came, he preached against religion, all this religious structure. It's all about relationship.
But he was a Jew.
King of the Jews. But he also came to save the Gentiles as well. Gentiles are us.
Mm-hmm. But he was still Jewish.
For sure. They abided by the law, but the reason he came was to fulfill the law, because nobody before in human history nor after him can fulfill the law. He came in full embodiment and did it, and dealt with all these same temptations and fleshly desires, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. He took upon sin on himself, but never fell in terms of not abiding by the law. So the only reason he came was to fulfill the law, and because God saw that none of us could do it before him or after him. The only way we get in right standings with God is through Christ. Nobody comes to the Father except through him. And it's all about a relationship. Just like you and I have a relationship, it's so beyond religion.
It's a bromance.
It is, bro. He meets us where we're at. But so many people think they got to do all these things before they can get to that point. And no, bro, it's like I said, verbally out loud, genuinely, as if God was listening to you. Ask him to prove himself to you. Show yourself to me in some way, shape, or form. Get my attention. And all I'll say is watch out, because that's what he wants, is for us to bromance. But it's a father and a son love. It's so beyond anything here in the natural.
But that's
and it's spiritual, to get reborn in your mind. Don't be conformed to the world like so many people are, like I have been in my life, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you can show the perfect and acceptable will of God. And it's like, I'll put it like this. This is what blew my mind about everything, right? When Adam and Eve were in the garden, before they ate the apple, their spirit was connected with God's spirit. They were in unity. They had a tree of life mindset. When they bit the apple, they had the knowledge of good and evil. So they wanted the knowledge of God without knowing God, even though they already knew him. So in that instance, when that happened, their spirit got disconnected from God's spirit. Hence the fall, the pride of life, all these sin and death. Jesus comes, shows us the way, the truth, and the life. Gives us an opportunity finally for our spirit to be back connected with God's spirit. It's like, think about it like this. Somewhere in the book of Colossians, I'm not trying to be preachy or nothing. This is just what changed my life, bro, radically.
This is UnWoKeN, brother.
That's right. It says, lie not to one another, seeing that you were made and renewed in the image of him that created him. And renewed, it's it's something like that verse. But it says renew there in that verse. It's not renovate your mind. It's not a renovated mind and holding on to certain things. Bro, it is a complete radical renewal of your mind. Not obeying to the flesh and the lust that it has. It has. Think of the human body like the greatest computer ever. The brain being the hard drive. And the mind being the software. So ever since Adam and Eve, and even today, if you're not saved and reborn, the spirit's still disconnected. So the software that you're operating off of for your mind is the old man, what they call in the Bible. It's the old conversation of the mind. That's what? It's influenced by this fallen world system, the programs, the list, the music, the way of thinking, I'm going to put my bootstraps on and I'm going to do it all myself. Having the so-called wanting the knowledge of God, acting like God, but you're operating off old corrupted software. So when Jesus came and died for us on the cross and rose from the dead, conquered death, only through him is where we can have that, to be in right standings and back to have our spirit connected with God's spirit. But when you're reborn, when you're saved, truly and you accept Jesus as your Lord, the master of your life, and your Savior to eternal life, it's not instantly the soul, which is the mind, the emotion, and will. It's not like a overnight process where that old software gets renewed to the new software. And this is like things embedded in your subconscious mind.
You said the master of your life?
Well, Lord means master. So accepting him as Lord and Savior is the master of my life. Yeah. And in this process of when you get this rebirth, but it's a rebirth from above in the spirit, getting your spirit back connected. Over time is when the soul gets renewed, the mind, the emotion, the will. But the only way that mind gets renewed is through digging into this divine code of truth called the Bible. There's a reason to call it the living word, because what it does, it reprograms the mind to think in the spirit, to be in the spirit, and not abide by the old fleshly desires and actions and deeds and whatnot. Within the living word, getting that ingrained daily in your mind, but not out of duty, serving God out of duty, but out of delight, wanting to get to know him better. That's where the new program, the new software comes from. Knowing it, just genuinely wanting to know more about it. Why don't you ask God to show himself and prove himself to you? Well, we shouldn't prove, but I'm saying reveal himself. What's hindered you from that?
What's hindered me and his relationship?
Or you just from asking him to reveal himself to you?
I shouldn't have to ask him to reveal himself to me.
Why? Well, he does it every day. It's just, I guess you're not conscious of it. A lot of people aren't conscious of it, though, until they are.
Hey, man, look, I wake up every morning, and this is the next best day of my life for the simple fact that I woke up.
Praise God.
But I stopped saying my prayers in the morning and at night about 6 years ago.
Why?
Whenever my dad died.
What was the prayer like?
I'd say my act of contrition, my Lord's Prayer, and then I'd say my own little thing to bless everybody who's in my life. But, that was the day that Dad died, was the day I stopped saying my prayers.
Just curious, because like my prayer life, it's been a lot different lately, but it used to not be remote. It was the same, essentially, just these repetitive prayers that I felt like I had this obligation or duty to do, just to be in right standings with God, I guess, where it wasn't out of like a delight, like a conversation. Obviously thankful for the day, but I'm talking like really inviting him into my day. You got full permission and access on a personal level, relationship, right? Not religion. Religion, that's the thing, like for me, not for everybody. We talked about this earlier with the Catholic Church. Like it's been my experience growing up in Catholic school and things of that nature. It was follow these rules. Don't really tell me why I follow these rules. The love of God was never poured out and understood or articulated for me to understand it. Would you say the same?
I didn't go to Catholic school.
But you went to Catholic church though, right?
Yeah, I went to catechism.
But what was the love of God like really?
Yeah.
But like to a point where on a personal level?
Yeah, I went to a lot of retreats. One of the things that I have a problem with is the people who post "Let go, let God," because God, I believe in a merciful God.
Well, what does believe mean? That's a question I wanted to ask.
What does believe mean? I believe he's there.
But you can't say the word that I just asked you to define in the same definition.
What do you mean?
You can't say, okay, if you ask me, what does believe mean? I say, well, if my answer is, oh, I believe God.
I have faith that there is a God.
What's faith?
Faith is what you believe in.
What's belief, though?
Belief is self-explanatory. I believe.
No, it's really.
I believe there's a God up there in heaven.
But see, this is what I think is wrong today in society and with this word. I believe
in
in
something
God.
You think is real.
So you acknowledge.
Yeah, I acknowledge it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My problem with people is that they think that God controls every aspect of their life. No, God's not pulling you around like a puppet string.
Well, we do have free will. That's right.
God's not.
He gives us free will.
The best form of God I've ever seen is, you're gonna laugh, Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty. One of the best lines I've ever heard was whenever Bruce was sitting there and he had all the Post-it notes with all the prayers coming in, and Morgan Freeman goes,
Bruce Almighty or Evan Almighty?
Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
That's the first one.
Okay.
But it's like Morgan Freeman's God, and he's like, you've been complaining a lot about me, Bruce. He goes, I'm getting kind of tired of it. And then he goes, so here's my powers. And then he gets all these prayers filling up his head, and he tries to turn them into Post-it notes, and it shows how many people are praying to God for this, and this every time, every day, every hour, every minute. How many people are praying to God for this miracle to happen?
Yeah.
God can't do everything.
Bull crap.
He can't do everything for everybody at once. What I'm saying,
bull crap.
If everybody's prayers that they asked for came true,
depends what their two stipulations, if that's the right word. What is the prayer intention?
So God, please heal my dad. No.
Jesus said in the Bible, bro, whenever you pray, believe that it is given unto you and it will be so. So believing, coming back to this word, it is adhering to, it's relying on and wholly trusting in whatever you're praying for is already happened.
So you mean to tell me?
I'm not saying it. This is what the word says. It's
that word's saying that if I would have truly believed that my dad would have survived a brain aneurysm like that,
if it's in God's will and you have actual faith that God's going to come through in every waking moment of your life for this prayer.
But he didn't. But
did you have that, not to even remotely come from a standpoint of, look, we're here where we're at now, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm speaking. We're being open about it.
It's real.
I'm just saying.
But
he didn't though.
But it's not about wishing on a prayer though. That's where I think the whole idea.
There's no wish. There was praying.
I know, but wishing on a prayer a lot of times, it's what I mean by that. It's praying. God, I pray that you take away or you heal or you do this. And it's not real belief that God can do it. It's just words.
So then why believe?
Because it activates prayers and your faith. You're adhering to it. And you're relying on it. Believing, embodying. And there's nobody, nothing, no circumstance that can convince your senses, your ears, your eyes, your conceptualization of it. Because if they convince you that that's not going to happen, or if reality convinces you that, or if the so-called reality we're in convinces you that that can't happen, there's no faith. There's zero faith that you're believing. A wise man once told me this, very wise. His name's Gary Hendricks. Crazy story. You need to get him on the podcast. He said faith is acting as if it is, before it is, until it is.
But reality is real. faith
isn't real.
Faith is real. Faith isn't reality.
To some people, miracles do happen, bro.
Miracles
every day, but it's people who have the faith. It's the belief of things that are not seen.
So
until they are seen.
So God picks and chooses what kind of miracles he's going to do.
It's up to, like you said, we're not robots.
Yeah.
We have free will. God wants us to tap in and adhere to things that are not seen. And what I mean by that, it's the highest good. And knowing his power is here.
And I'm not trying to be a dick by any means.
I don't think you're being a dick.
I'm challenging the
do it.
I'm challenging it because
I don't think you're being a dick.
Because I have been on this journey now.
Bro, it's all it is.
I actually had a buddy come on the show, and he said, "Which Dustin, you owe me another show because I did go to church." he said he wouldn't come back on my show until I went to church, and I went to church, so you owe me a show. And I hit him with, dude, like he's traveling around right now on a pro-life campaign.
Awesome.
And I hit him with these hard-hitting questions, which you're answering very well too.
Well, they need to be.
That's why I asked them though.
Yeah.
Because I'm a man who's lost his faith.
And bro, there's so much power in that, because why? Number one, vulnerability, but we need to wrestle with God.
Mm-hmm. The Bible states that the people that struggle the most a lot of times with their faith with God and question him are the ones that are closer to him.
Right, because they'll the more we question, he wants us to wrestle with thoughts and wrestle with things in our life and really wrestle with the reality of his preeminence. That's Godhead. That's supreme superiority over everything, because instinctively in our human fleshly nature, that is hard for us to make reason of. Mm-hmm. But bro, don't think in any way, shape, or form that where you're at is not where you exactly need to be, because God like I said, he meets us where we're at. He just wants an earnest, contrite, honest heart to admit, God, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm getting to the point. Like for me, I had to get broken down completely. I had to come to the end of myself. And look, everything I'm doing, it ain't it for me personally. Come into my life, please. Please. I'm giving it over to you. My ideas, my thoughts, my questions. I'm going to have the faith that you have the answer. And just come into my life. What I need you, because we need him. And watch out. I'm telling you, just try that and watch out. Because
I'm just not there yet.
But when you get there, I'm saying that's the prayer. It's earnest, genuine seeking. If you seek him, if you seek the highest good, which is him, love, abiding from a place of love and not fear, that's when things start to change for the better. Not saying it's easier in any way, shape, or form. Being a Christian, especially in today's society, is not easy, because you got to go against the norm.
Yeah, if you're a straight white Christian male, you're most discriminated against man. If you're a straight white Christian male, you're the most discriminated against person in this country.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of evidence for that.
I do counter atheists all the time with this same thing too, because I ask atheists all the time. I said, "Is there a God?" They say no. I said, "Prove it."
They can't.
Exactly.
But it's so mind blowing to us, bro, because God is outside of space and time and matter, but he created all of it. So obviously he's omnipresent at all times with everybody. Everybody has that voice in their head. It's just, what are they filling their ears with? What are they constantly seeing and really putting their faith in? They're putting faith in things that are seen, that are normal and comfortable to them. Mm-hmm. Whereas true faith, it's the evidence of things that are unseen. And that's when you can tap in to the Father of creation, who creates and loves us, bro. But he doesn't, like you said, puppet strings. It's not like that. He wants us to get in our own free will, our fallen nature, to seek him and cry out to him and have the will to do it, to seek him on our own. He's not gonna, now he can supernaturally in people's lives, not to put God in a box at all. He can intervene where he sees fit, and he does when he sees fit, but he wants us to seek him and desire him, not from a standpoint of being robotic. Like everything in this society, in this culture, is all robotic. Follow this norm, do this wave, do all of this.
So let me ask you this.
At face value.
So why does it kind of aggravate me now whenever people tell me to pray about this, or
about what?
Whenever somebody says, oh, you should pray about it. Or because every time somebody tells me I should pray about it, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is praying going to do to help my current situation?
Right.
I can go handle this myself. But what also, why is it that I also get aggravated when people say, oh, we're praying for you?
Why you get aggravated?
Because obviously
you don't understand
because I don't think prayers work anymore. I spend a lot of time praying. Real. I spend a lot of time praying. And you can understand my distrust.
Dude, I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Truly.
And I'm trying to work my way back,
bro.
dude.
And that's all.
And that's one of the biggest things my buddy said. He said, it's good. He said, it's good that you're on the fence. It's also bad that you're on the fence. He goes, but he said also, he goes, you're a kind of guy that is more along the lines of you still believe. He goes, you're just at a standstill with your relationship, and it's going to take you time to work back to where you want to be. And
or back to where you want to be, or work towards where your heart knows and desires where it needs to go.
Dude, I legitimately used to say my prayers 3 times a day. And like I said, I haven't said one in 6 years.
You know, it's something that blew my mind about prayer. I read in a book once, it said, prayer is not always about what you are asking for, but how you prepare for its reception. How you're able to receive and believe in a prayer that you're given your needs, your supplications in this prayer to God. But it's not just mundane, repetitive words with no meaning behind it, just out of a duty. Oh, this is my whole life, how I've been taught to pray. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say these prayers, act of contrition, Hail Marys, X, Y, and Z, because that's what I've been programmed to think prayer is and what I need to do and get relationship with God. But deep down in your heart, you don't feel any assurance, or like you're saying, prayers don't work anymore, you said. It's because of that programming to think of it on that level. It's all about, think about it like this. if there's a target and you're shooting and constantly missing, maybe the thing that's making you miss is your lack of ability or lack of open-mindedness to critique the aim on your bow. Or perhaps aim at a different target. Like this, let's put it in this instance for prayer. That's a target. How I've been told to pray my whole life. Well, and I haven't gotten anything out of it. I haven't felt like I've been in communion and communicate relationship optimally and fully with God. If that's not working, let's just explore and try something else. You're seeking, brother. Like, you're doing good. God loves you, bro. Like, really, on a level that is so overwhelming, and that once it's grasped, maybe, look, we turn and we see this target now, and we got a brand new bow, brand spanking new, $5,000 bow. And now we pull back with sharp arrows, with good aims. We got the sights all locked in. We shoot. Might miss the first couple times, but with every miss, failure, or not hitting the target, you painfully learn how to readjust again and shoot. It's like repeated ad nauseum. Like, but it's, if you don't draw a target, if there's no target, how can you take aim? How can you shoot? You know, you can't hit a target that you refuse to see. And I'm speaking in figurative speech, but there's always the possibility of failure. But if there's no target, new target, you might fail. But if there's no new target, you will fail. You know what I'm saying? If there's no new angle, approach, way of seeking, and we're going to rely on what we've been programmed with our whole life, you will fail. You're not going to hit any new target because you're refusing to see it. But if you can see a new one and open yourself up to say, hey, maybe I don't know. Maybe my way isn't it. Maybe there's another way, and I know there's a way because God puts eternity in our hearts, bro. It's written all in our hearts. And so if we can go back, now we can see this new target and shoot and miss and shoot and miss. But learn, bro, we're going to hit the target. It's just about seeing it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Well, that was a big hitting question.
Gay marriage.
All right.
How do you feel about that whole movement with how it's infiltrating the youth?
I hate it.
It's totally backwards.
I hate it. I think it is grooming.
Yeah.
I don't look. My mom and my dad used to say, if anything ever happened to them, we'd be raised by my mom's two best friends who were lesbians. Guess what? Both of them are conservatives. One of my best friends, who's a girl, is a lesbian. She said, Scott, all the pride parades consist of are a bunch of straight white women running around with rainbow flags, acting like they belong to a group they don't belong to. I don't give a fuck who you choose to love in this lifetime, as long as they're of age and you have their consent. It is your right by the Supreme Court to be able to get married. Will I ever officiate a wedding? No. Will I ever attend a gay wedding? I don't care if it was, hypothetically, I don't care if it was my sister. I wouldn't go.
Right. Why, though?
Because I disagree with it.
Based on what?
I believe marriage is between a man and a woman.
Right. That's biblical.
It is, and it's also natural.
It's biblical. So, like, this is how I look at it. Would you agree that everything that God has in truth, Satan has a distorted, counterfeit truth, which is basically a lie? Do you agree with that?
The devil is a lie. Yeah, I'd agree with that notion.
But everything God has in truth, Satan has a counterfeit.
Well, see, I'm not
the adversary.
I can't answer that because I'm not going to ever use a religious argument.
It's not religious.
Or I'm not going to use.
If the highest good ever, I'm never going to use
God as a means to make my point.
I'm not trying to make it so.
Yeah.
I'm just asking a simple question. Would you agree with everything God has in truth? Satan has a counterfeit, opposite, distorted.
I could say. I mean,
it's a simple yes or no. There's forces of good in this world, and there's forces of bad. There's forces
of good and evil. Yeah.
There's forces of natural, and there's forces of unnatural. Right.
Yeah.
Everything, like, bro, I don't have any ounce of hate for people. Gay, straight, black, white, up, down, left, right, conservative, Democrat. There's no hate. But in regards to this gay movement, the gay agenda, I think it's 1,000% an attack on what the universe, what God has in metaphysical law for natural production, reproduction, what marriage is about, has to be between man and woman.
And you know what?
Not to sit here and judge, but like, that's the thing with Christians today. They don't stand up upon these biblical truths. And I'll make it into this, if you want to put it in a religious argument. I'm not a religious person whatsoever.
Religion and Christianity are the same thing for me.
It's open. Well, that's I respect your opinion on it, but I just don't view it like that. Because when you look at all these religions, it's like.
But I'm gonna let you make it, because I have a whole theory on that. For
it can be classified. It's open to perspective, but
that's
I look at religion like these men.
Not the religion part. I'm talking about the gay the gay movement thing. Dude, we're literally people like us who have friends who are gay and lesbian.
I have family members.
They respect our opinions more, because all of my friends who are gay and lesbian are conservatives, believe it or not. And they respect my opinion because they get my true, authentic self whenever I tell them I'm not going to officiate your wedding.
Right.
No, I don't hate you. No, I will not let anybody bully you ever.
Same.
But this is America.
Yeah.
And we're able to have a difference of opinion.
For sure.
And still get along. It's not fucking hard to do. And my problem with this movement is we're taking a whole generation. I mean, the LGBTQ
XYZ.
It used to be it was at 12.5% in 2012. In 2023, it's 28.5%.
Yeah,
that's more than half, jumping up.
Right.
And
I mean, there's generations at stake.
We're teaching kids that this is normal.
Yeah, and it's backwards.
Not normal.
But see, at the root of your belief, it's 100% not in alignment with your morals. But I believe your morals come from the Bible.
They do.
So it's from a Christian. But like, that's what I'm saying. To stand firm in this argument, it almost has to be. It has to be from a biblical standpoint that stands up and stands firm for what God has ordained for humans.
And that's another problem I have, is that
really his people.
Another problem I have is that a lot of Christians use the God said love everybody, so we're going to allow our kids to go to drag queen story time.
It's a difference between love and tolerance.
Tolerance and
There's
love.
No tolerance. Yeah. God didn't tolerate. Is God tolerant?
No.
But he also gives us the will to abide by him, in him, and him in us, or not.
And here's my dude, like it truly does bother me that I see on my Snapchat and Instagram, like people I follow, like a lot of these girls that are in relationships sitting there kissing or making out with their best friend that's a girl. Yeah, back when we were in high school, we think that was hot, or college, we think that was hot.
But it's bullshit.
But nowadays, dude, that really is very troublesome, because how are you going to raise your kids?
Well, that's the long-term reality.
And that's the long. Yeah, it is.
There's impacts on more people than just yourself.
I hate to see it, because it does bother me. It has none. It doesn't affect me in any way. I have a beautiful conservative Republican woman,
but feminists and gays, or the gay community will be like, "Whoa, you're just insecure."
Well,
no,
fuck them. I don't give a shit. They could suck my fucking dick for all I care. I don't give a fuck what they have to say.
I know where you're coming from. It's
but
just
dude, it's not like hot. It's not attractive.
Think on a level that is long term. Like, how is this going to impact you? And when you're, let's say you carry this gay wave out until you're 67 years old and you're alone, and you don't have any grandchildren to babysit and love and have your a spouse. I mean, we're created man and woman to become one unit, and really marriage is beautiful, because something I learned recently, like, it's like a mystery in terms of the whole point of marriage, bro. It's really to reflect the gospel, like, in your walk. And that symbol of marriage, man and woman, come in one unit, come in one flesh, and being able to reproduce and have kids and teach them everything. We're supposed to reflect the Gospels, and like in the New Testament, it talks about Christ is the bride and we're the bridegroom. So he's coming for us and he loves us like we're a bridegroom. And so, like, the husband and the wife, that aspect, it's really beautiful, because it's just another symbolic mystery, really, but it's one that's been revealed. And when you can walk and you're living in truth, and your family, there's so much joy and peace that is just incomprehensible to people, or something bad happens in your life and you're not torn by it, because God isn't, like, there's this soundtrack that plays in people's mind. Like, so when I got back from the Home of Grace, the place in Mississippi, when I was there, they had a guy there, bro. He was in a walker. Just got in a horrible car accident, lost both his little girls, right?
Damn, bro.
Yeah, lost both his little girls. And I'm getting goosebumps. The story he told us the night that they got in that car accident, he said they were driving back home. It was like from Starkville, and they were coming back to Gulfport or something. And they were talking about Jesus and the like what heaven's gonna be like. These kids in the back seat, bro, talking about angels, talking about just how good God is, because this man's rooted in the faith. He's rooted. Jesus is in his heart, and the glory of God is still. This is what I'm talking about. Still, bro, because when they got in that wreck and he was in the ICU, like in Mississippi, and then but his daughters and his wife, they got flown to New Orleans, and he knew in his heart that his daughters were gone.
But the wife?
The wife was okay. But what was going through his mind that whole time, bro, and it don't make sense to people who are just living in the flesh, essentially, because you're like, oh my gosh, you just lost your two little girls. I'd be torn. I don't know how you're doing this. And standing on a stage at an addiction rehab facility telling me how good God is, because that whole time when he was in the ICU and then he got flown to New Orleans, God was preparing him in his mind. But at the same time, the soundtrack in his mind wasn't like, oh my gosh, my girls are going. There was a peace that surpassed his understanding and ability to comprehend it to not only himself, but other people. And the soundtrack was, God is in control. God loves me. Beyond comprehension. His ways never fail. And his ways are perfect.
Yeah, I know.
And bro, but think about it. He comes there and gives this testimony in a walker, bro. And in that moment, it was beautiful to see. He used that, and God used him because his daughters are in the best place. No pain. There's no tears. This is eternal life in the kingdom of heaven. And he comes and talks to us that night at chapel, and using it as a stage just to glorify God, bro. It was so amazing, incomprehensible to everybody. Oh my gosh, you just lost your daughters, bro. Like, obviously, bro, there's hurt, there's pain, you miss your girls, but something that's supernatural you know what I'm saying? It's supernatural intervention in it just goes to show you, bro, like he's using this to, bring so many more people closer to the Lord. Like, you got to think about it. In circumstances, something bad's happening. What's the soundtrack of your mind?
There's one thing that has instilled my, kept me a little bit of faith. And there's only one other person that's ever heard me tell this. It was living at the fraternity house. Dad had just passed. It had been about 2 months, and I was in a deep sleep. Well, I woke up like I know I lucid dream. So, but this lucid dream was different because it was a lot more vivid, and I was just sitting on a bench, and then out of nowhere, my dad walks up, sits down, and he looks at me and goes, "Bro, it's gonna be all right." And dude, I woke up and I was bawling my eyes out.
Wow.
I was like, "What the fuck?" I woke up, dude. I couldn't go back.
This is fresh after he passed.
Yeah. Wow. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what I just saw. And I'm sitting there and I called my buddy Cody Howe. And I said, "Dude, I need to talk. I need someone to talk to." And I told him, me and him were just sitting out. We sat outside for about like 8 hours, dude. I'm like, what was this? Like, what was this? It felt so damn real.
It was, bro.
But,
but objective reality, and this is what I'm talking about. Things around us will deny you or deny people of experiences, whether it be deep sleep or something like the guy's story I was just telling you about.
I don't know how that man still has faith. Oh.
God, bro.
Oh, boy.
When we are weak, he is strong. Only when we can recognize we're weak and invite him in to be the strength that we need.
That would be a challenge.
On our own might, absolutely. That's where I'm getting at. On our own, if we're just living on a physical realm and denying the reality that we have a spirit connected to the living God, when we're surrendered, yeah, it seems incomprehensible of a challenge for me to even remotely go through and conquer and live my normal life with purpose and any sense of joy. Yeah, we can't generate that, bro. But thanks be to God. What do you feel about the vaccine?
We can't talk about that. The last time I did, they took down my video and threatened to suspend my channel.
The vax. Fuck the vax.
I call it the Rougarou juice.
How do you what do you feel about Hollywood?
Hollywood?
Oh, Trump or DeSantis?
Damn, man.
Yeah, hard hitter. Trump or DeSantis?
That's the hardest one. Probably the hardest one. Man, in terms of winning, if I'm a Republican strategist, you got to put DeSantis.
He's no charisma though, dude.
I think Trump, if he was to him and DeSantis could get along, and Trump puts him as VP, that's the ticket to the White House.
It might be the plan, bro.
Both too fucking stubborn right now. If they would get ahead of it now, that's our ticket. But if they keep the feud going, in terms of winning, we are not going. The Republican, he's not going to win the primary.
Who, Trump? I think DeSantis is bought and paid for, bro.
I like DeSantis.
Not saying I don't like certain things he does, but
I like.
If you do some digging, and
he's a veteran who went to Harvard and Yale, and yeah, he might be one of those politicians that you
bought and paid for by George Soros. Would you still feel the same if you knew that?
There's no proof to say that.
Crap, look it up.
DeSantis ain't bought by. If
dude,
DeSantis,
just look it up.
But if DeSantis was bought by George Soros, do you think he'd pass any kind of the legislation that he's been passing?
All I'm saying is look it up.
I will,
because it's interesting.
But I think it is complete.
George Soros loves him.
I think it's a complete fallacy.
Soros loves him.
Well, he might love him, but that doesn't mean anything.
He ain't got no charisma neither.
He ain't got no charisma. And look,
DeSantis?
I worked for the Trump campaign.
He's not personable.
I love Donald Trump. I love the man. And my biggest problem is you have to learn how to play the game.
Yeah, and Trump plays it the best, I believe.
No, he didn't in 2020.
Well, that election, you think that election was rigged?
Yes, but keep your hands off of Twitter.
Oh my gosh. Soft ass society. Bullshit.
But I'm saying I had to. My job was social media. I had to spin that shit sometimes. Not spin it, but just explain it. And I'm like, dude, we can win. We can win this election. Just shh for a second. We won in 2016 because it was the biggest middle finger to the establishment ever. Even Bernie Sanders people voted for Trump.
We really won in 2020 too,
bro. But hear me out. We won because it was the biggest middle finger ever. Now, 2020 comes along. He has done so many great things. The economy is at an all-time high. We're booming. Why do people... Look what Biden did. Biden hid in the basement because he was going to allow Trump to beat himself.
I think Biden's dead, bro. Do you believe in clones?
No.
Never done any research either.
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, man.
You can't even define that.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Define that.
Conspiracy theorist?
Yeah. Because the FBI literally came out with the definition.
A bunch of so-called facts that people... A bunch of so-called ideas that people tie together to link everything into one another, to put together a formulated opinion that hasn't been proven.
I respect that, your opinion. But almost every conspiracy theory that's been out there, if you take your own initiative and just look for yourself, not what other people have formulated and come up, you have to get a dang skid steer to rent to get your damn jaw off the ground. It's off. the freaking wall.
The
CIA and the FBI, literally, you could look this up in the CIA vault where they have all these information documents. They came out with a document literally defining the word conspiracy theorists, coining it to give to the Mockingbird media after JFK died.
Who do you think killed JFK?
Obviously CIA, and I think George Herbert Walker Bush had a lot to do with it. People say the mob, the mafia. I don't believe so.
You know why they say the mob?
I think that's a conspiracy.
Shit, the mob don't exist, bro.
I think they exist.
No idea what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, think about it. JFK comes out with this, basically, really one of the, besides Eisenhower's speech on the military industrial complex, JFK's speech before he passed, talking about these secret societies as well as the military industrial complex, came out in a speech, bro, to the American people, talking about there will be no enemies crossing our borders to overtake us, essentially, but they'll be coming from within, and that's way more powerful of a threat with these secret societies, with the military industrial complex and the CIA. And he dies after. They coin it with the mafia, but it's that's just another one. Not to sit here and sway your opinion or your viewers. Just look it up for yourself.
A lot of my viewers had a problem with what I had to say about QAnon.
Yeah, I got deep into that crap. And it's just that's
too far fetched for me.
It is,
and I would love not to. I would. Here's the thing. I think people wanted it to be true.
Well, dude, it's weird.
I don't want that to be true.
Certain pieces of it
are weird. Yeah,
are definitely true.
There are certain things that I will connect.
But in the movement,
that hurts us. That hurts us every fucking election. What we got to realize is that look how far left the left is going. The Democrats are going. Look how it's hurting them. They keep going far left. We can't match them.
I don't even think we were matching them. It was like to a point where there was so much
in terms of
hypocrisy.
The middle. In terms of the middle.
Right. But how do you get people back to the middle without exposing everything?
By not going so far right.
I wouldn't even say it's so far right, bro. Like that.
And I'm what they consider people consider me the alt-right, believe it or not. And I think that's fundamentally bullshit. But yeah, it's look, I'm a political strategist by trade with these things. We win with the Trump DeSantis card, or we either win with the Trump DeSantis card, a DeSantis card, or we lose the Trump card.
That's fair.
And I love my boy more than anything. But to sit here and say that the same turnout's they're gonna cheat their way back
for sure. That's why ain't none of them gonna save us, bro. Only one that really fundamentally what this country needs, bro, is a radical revival and a readjustment to get back to under God's one nation under God.
California and New York have something different to say.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's like almost as if there's this book out called The Return of the Gods, and it talks about it's this Messianic Jew. So he's a Jew that believes that Jesus was the Messiah and came and fulfilled, which he did all the prophecies in the Old Testament. But he talks about, have you ever heard of that verse? It's like when a house is swept clean, and basically 7 spirits come back to fill up the house more wicked than the ones that were in the beginning. You ever heard that verse? Mm-hmm. It's something along those lines, but he related it to like all these Old Testament gods, lowercase g, and how people were worshiping them. And he related it, bro, to like this, the gay LGBTQ movement, how it's basically an idol, this transgender agenda, transhumanism with all this Neuralink and merging with technology. I mean, bro, everything happening right now is like so consistent with prophecies in the Bible, with the mark of the beast. You know, you're going to need the mark on your hand or your forehead to buy, sell, or trade anything. This was written 2,000 plus years, or around 2,000 years ago. 2,000 plus.
Well, I'll tell you what, we had 3 hours.
Yeah, bro, it's been a good one.
So we're gonna continue soon. We're gonna have another part of this.
Most definitely.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in to UnWoKeN. Again, the #1 podcast in the world for young conservative media. And that's a fact. Not facts, of course. The only ones that fucking matter anyway. Make sure, please, if you haven't already, to subscribe, like, and share this video. This is Mr. Evan Veron. I'm Scott Davis. Take care, and I'll see your asses next week. Good shit, man.
Peace out. Thank you, brother.
You sit down, you sit down, Scotty, you are a character. You're the best kind of character. I watch you all the time.